The moon is red. There is no time left. The frenzy has begun. In the form of anime licensed gacha hell, Eminence in Shadow, Master of Garden. A game that many compare to that one big gacha game that ended service in the capable hands of Crunchyroll that I sadly can no longer try, which is Princess Connect.
No. Wait.
Also, spoilers ahead, don't say I didn't warn you. You are now in the shoes of Sid Kageno, the self-proclaimed Eminence in Shadow whose goal is to become an absolute Sigma who can survive an ICBM missile. Except he's missing the one thing he needs to do so, otherworldly magic. So, he naturally gives himself a fully narrated concussion in the woods, and then trucks himself into another universe where you end up beating up some random bandits, conduct unethical science experiments on a mutated blob you found on the street, and then a month later, it magically turns into a naked elf girl. Officer, I swear, I forgot about this being in the recap. You then tell her that the elves and the beastkin were cursed by the demon lord, causing them to turn into mutated blob monsters, and that the cult of Diabolos has orchestrated everything to lead to their downfall. Except, this was all made up by you on the spot from a bottle of demon lord whiskey. And she ends up believing everything she just heard from you anyway. You call her Alpha because it sounds cool, and fortunately for you, by some sheer dumb luck, your gaslighting turned out to be alright, because the cult actually exists. And so, Alpha then gathers a team called the Seven Shadows to create an organization known as Shadow Garden, which includes herself, the Isekai plagiarizer Glasses Elf, the business elf who's unfortunately a klutz, the pitbull named Princess who you swore you trained before she went and mauled that guy. I'm sorry to say those aren't actually real, but knowing most of you who got baited by the thumbnail, you're going to stare at them respectfully anyway. The pet cat, who doesn't really like the dog very much. And of course, the mad scientist.
It's so cool, son of a bitch.
And just like any other isekai protagonist, Sid is being pursued romantically by his entire secret organization who seems to love him very much. His ex-girlfriend, who obviously wanted to stay together with him despite it being a fake relationship, a princess who thinks it's God's will that he's supposed to marry her, an older sister who threatens to destroy him if he doesn't do what she says, and of course, an ancient, long-dead demon lord who turns out to be another anime waifu. Fortunately, if you've already seen this series and are simply bored of anime recaps like the ones you may be watching to avoid watching this one, at the expense of Sid going atomic.
Damn, boy!
I'm gonna do it again. This game follows the girls of Shadow Garden during that 2-year time skip that was apparently not covered very well in the light novel or the manga, so you're fortunately going to get some fresh content unlike most other anime licensed games. Probably my favorite part as a gacha slave veteran is that, unlike most other gachas, the event storylines can be run at any time without fear of missing out on the new content for the series. Even though you can't farm for the event currency or get the rewards, it's actually quite nice that I don't have to miss out on the fresh new story content in the game. And if you're lucky enough to obtain specific characters, you will get these character stories as well that are specific to the costume that you obtained. But because this is a gacha game after all, combat has now been slotted in between your officially produced anime recap, which is pretty simple. You basically leave everyone to sing all over the screen. Click on the magic combo button when it flashes blue, and then click on character portraits to use your ultimate abilities, all with a rock paper scissors mechanic, except you have red, green, yellow and blue units. But that's 4 things any night, not 3. But my finger gun invalidates anything you just played and I immediately win the game. This is literally Blue Archive or Princess Connect. I would know if I could even play it. Crunchyroll, fairly idle for the most part as you watch your units run across the screen, then rinse and repeat to progress the story. Leveling though is linked to your character level, just like Blue Archive, which paves the way for Crunchyroll to sell you the fast track to level 100 in the cash shop. And there's also gear equips, ranking up, leveling, atomic, your daily 2 runs per day resource gathering, guilds to team up with players, and PvP, which are all pretty much classic gacha fare. Character shards can be earned from hard missions 3 times per day, base building is mainly a glorified way of resource gathering, and just like Blue Archive's Ligmas, you can get materials from duplicates that you can then exchange for shards to increase the rarity of your units. But with their SS rank duplicates, you get 10 magic cores that you can then use to awaken an SS rank unit of choice and unlock more of their abilities. Wait, were you expecting a Ligma joke? Fine. Ligma what, you ask? Ligma Bob. Unfortunately, the similarities to Blue Archive do not stop at the gameplay, because the now fleshed out 2-year time skip is used as the dev's excuse to spook you with the younger versions of all the shadows as SR units, alongside a few copies of A-rank clothing casual versions of the other characters. For some odd reason though, the costumes for the A-ranks and the S-ranks for the shadows are exactly the same. But on the bright side, that means no matter how unlucky you are in this game, you are going to have these copies of the costumes either way. It's still nice of Crunchyroll to soften the blow by letting you see all the 7 shadows in the menus to cope with the fact that you could not roll for them, which is what happened to me when I first started out. And if you're as unlucky as I was, you'd basically end up running the game with a team of little kids, making you feel like you're on a middle to high school field trip to the zoo. Add in Iris or any other post-time skip character and they instantly turn into the new substitute teacher. But if you too have suffered at the hands of a cute and funny AI that eats gems for lunch and spooks you with blue folders, you are probably already used to being a sensei. Still found it funny nonetheless when you get tossed into anime licensed Kivotos when you least expect it, especially with a game like this that boasts its bountiful waifus. As far as premium currency goes, the early game is not too bad for a new player to scrounge up enough gems for rolls from your logins, and if you're lucky to hop in during a special event, you'll probably find way more gacha currency in your mailbox. The gacha comes with a 3% SSR rate that actually increases at times to 4.5%, with a 0.69% for the banner SSR. Pity is not shared, and there is no carryover to the next banner, so any rolls you make without hitting pity are completely lost, which shouldn't be a problem as long as you save up gems for the banner that you want. Unless you're me, who likes to live dangerously as well, before getting hit by disappointment. Based on my research, if you're just starting the game and do end up chasing the meta, reroll for the Shadow Festival characters who show up at the end of the month during Armageddon week, and then save for future ones, because they're absolutely busted. But if you're a longer term player, of course you're going to be out of luck with this reroll option, but they at least let you interact with the premium limited gacha characters for free to tempt you to spend money on your rolls, or to taunt you with your lack of free gems. And speaking of lack of free gems, monetization of this game is definitely on the higher side compared to games like Blue Archive and Genshin, where a 10 roll is around $20 US, with the average cost of a 10 roll in this game being about $30. A lot greedier than most other gachas, that's for sure, but pretty understandable, especially for a comparably niche series like this one that does have to keep itself running. But I'm gonna be honest with you here, after what happened to a big game like Princess Connect, it's definitely hard to entrust money to a game under Crunchyroll's wing, or heck, any anime licensed game that is popular on release before it quietly disappears a few years later. Still entirely up to you which waifus you want to drop some money on though, but personally, I'm not so sure about the security of this investment myself. So if you really like this series, decide on the off chance to play this game, don't want to end up the equivalent of the Blue Archive Sensei of Shadows, or break the bank trying to pay for rolls, I highly recommend Rerolling. A fairly simple task for the most part, since you can at least skip the tutorial, roll your free beginner 10 roll, and then use up your 3000 gem first login bonus. If you don't like what you see, delete your account and then reroll again. Also, you can then spend the money that you could have spent on this gacha on something else. A nice dinner maybe. $20, $1.50 Costco hot dogs, or a guaranteed SSR on Blue Archive because ending up in an unsolicited teaching job minus the head pats and multi-train track drifting is much less shocking when it's what you clearly signed up for when you step foot into Kivotos. The main selling point of this game though has to be the 3D cutscenes, because all the characters in this game look absolutely gorgeous for a mobile game. You get fully voiced cutscenes with the 3D models in the story, and the homepage allows you to choose any one of your rolled characters to greet you when you enter the game. And of course, this even doubles as the place where you get some one-on-one time with your character of choice. The only shame is that you only get about 3 conversation topics per day to use among all your characters, so you're going to have to stick around for a few days to hop back in to exhaust all of their options and slowly raise their bond levels. From what I can tell, this game will end up in a similar gameplay loop to Blue Archive of hopping in, running your daily dungeons, or skipping them to grind your account level further, which now brings me to the verdict, which is about a 7 out of 10. The gorgeous 3D models and the characters are the reason why I didn't give this a 6 for how greedy it could get. It's kind of a shame that these models weren't used in a proper full game and not another anime licensed gacha held to be no more of a distraction from your usual gacha fare before you run to something else after seeing this horrible monetization. But to the devs of this game, if you ever do release a dating sim with the character models and 3D visual novel style stuff this damn good, you'll literally make bank. Take notes, Crunchyroll, because this absolutely stylish advice is free. Unlike your $30 pay 10 roll. And is this worth playing? Sort of. Master of Garden may use a run-of-the-mill standard gacha formula, but it definitely has that extra bit of polish that you don't see in many other anime licensed gacha games. And if you just want to read the extra stories for the Eminence in Shadow series, or if you want to see more of the shadows themselves in general and get to know them from the protagonist's point of view, this game is still worth a quick visit before going back to what you were playing before. Definitely something aimed towards the die-hard Eminence in Shadow fans. But of course, if you do decide to spend any money on this game, just keep an eye out for Crunchyroll, cause they might get a little antsy and pull out the axe again. Fun fact, I actually ran this game on BlueStacks for a bit before realizing Crunchyroll had actually released a PC client that I highly recommend using for sure, but I am glad I made that mistake. Otherwise, I'd have missed the best choice of loading screen for an anime waifu game. A shot of 2 dudes wrestling on the floor. So, leave a like and comment below on what you think of this game yourself, and if you too have tried to play anime licensed Blue Archive. And always remember these timeless words. The moon is red. The frenzy has begun. This is the Aninite, and we will see you next time.
Atomic.